Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes of the Walking Dead universe. I'm your host, David Cameo, and we're about to premiere the second episode of The Walking Dead World Beyond's second episode, the first season of this limited series. I have to say, I very much enjoyed this. I not only enjoyed this episode, watching it, but I enjoyed recording it with my co-host who's in the chat, Rachael Burt, and contributor Sharon D, who's been faithfully attending our chats, both for Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead World Beyond. This episode is it just flows very well. We hit point by point, not in order, but like just as things pop up into our heads, and we find ourselves finally catching up with all the things we've written down in our notes, and it's just a good feeling. It's a good listen. I really, really hope you enjoy it. Before I start that episode, I want to remind you that we have the, if you guys want to support our podcast, if you enjoy what you're listening to, I mean, not only by liking, subscribing, enabling notifications, obviously, right? You've done that already, right? You want to enable notifications so you know when our episodes drop, right? But if you like it even more and you want to help us fund this podcast, or if you want to see some cool messages pop up during the stream, head over to ko-fi.com/squawkingdead and buy us a coffee. It's less than a cup of coffee. You get 30 days of access to our unedited recordings, so that you'll get even more expoundings on certain things, some behind-the-scenes referencing to our own lives sometimes, which we sometimes have to cut out because we'll either go on a tangent or something, and it just doesn't flow with the episode or whatnot. But you'll get that. You'll get the pre-show. You'll get the post-show. So like we'll be talking about ourselves, talking about our weeks and stuff like that. And sometimes referencing things that we shouldn't reference on the show, like spoilers, or we talk shit about somebody. Just kidding. We don't usually. Anyway, so yeah. Or just create a ko-fi.com account. It's ko-fi.com. And then just follow us there. And, you know, if you feel inspired to contribute to something, if you see behind the scenes an unedited recording you actually want, buy us a coffee, you'll get that, and 30 days of access, you'll get all the subsequent ones for the next 30 days. Or if you subscribe to a coffee a month, or less than a coffee a month, you can let the party keep rolling. $3 a month ends up not being that much a year, and it really, really does help us pay the bills, because they are coming up. Our hosting costs are for both the website, for the podcast, etc. And I really, really appreciate it. Hey, Blazy's in the chat. That's great, which is perfect because we're about to start. So enjoy this episode. Thank you so much for joining us on a Sunday, and whenever you're going to be watching this. And I hope you enjoy it. Take it away, Sam. Enjoy this little funny, cool intro. We are Walking Dead, a podcast pulverizing episodes of the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, and sometimes, most times, we go deep. And today we're talking about the Walking Dead World Beyond's second episode, called The Blaze of Gory. I was like sitting down and typing it out, like, because I have to do it in various places before and after we record, right? Yeah. And every time I started typing Blaze, I automatically started typing Blazy Gardener.
Blazy.
Right. And so, which is, again, why I sometimes will go, hey, Blazy, Sharon D. It's like I want to call her by her name. But it's just this thing that is just in here, Blazy, Sharon D, here in my head. Right. So it's like the Blazy of Gardener. So I feel like half of me actually wants to actually put that in the episode title just for fun. Just the Blazy of Gardener. Like, wait, that's not what the episode's called, idiot.
Wasn't it? I think it was Sharon D that shared the photo on Instagram of one of Althea's tapes that says the bog.
Yeah. Something we had brought up, by the way, in season 4, and I brought it back up again in season 5, saying we're definitely going to know more about this box of tapes,
right?
And yet we never really did.
Well, I mean, they released the the few little interviews or whatever. There was like 6 or 9 of them, maybe.
Oh yeah,
just
that's
a
right.
handful. But yeah, nothing else really came of them.
but never those tapes. And remember, there was 8 of them, or 4 of them, or 8 of them. I remember it was like, oh, it's either 8 hours or 4 tapes, or I don't know. I think it was 8 of them in this pack, in that lockbox in season 4 in the SWAT van. But
yeah, she went nuts for her tapes that episode.
So now I can actually talk about what my impression was, because I just can't hold it in anymore. Like, obviously, I watched it the first time late at night, just after we recorded, I think on Friday night, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, I liked it. I liked this episode. It was great. I thought it was a good story to tell. We got a little bit deeper into some of the past of, well, Felix's past, and then we see Hope's obsession with what she's done. And it's something that Felix says, I think, in the last episode, if I'm not mistaken. He says something to the effect of, you know, you become another person out there. He doesn't say it in this episode. I think it was the last episode. You know, what are they thinking? You know, anybody who goes outside these walls, you know, they become a different person. And,
well, I remember Huck saying something along those lines: "Who you are on the inside is not who you are on the outside."
Yeah,
is that what you're
meaning? Maybe that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, and I thought maybe Felix kind of confirmed that or something. I don't know, but yeah, there's something to be said about that, because we see this here and there in the Walking Dead universe. I mean, mainly though, and namely with Nick, when he talks to Madison in season 4 of The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, he says, you know, I like the person I am behind these walls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, something to that effect. And, you know, I built this place so that you can continue to be who you are, but you don't need that. No one's gone until they're gone. But yeah, to cap that off, it's like we've seen this every once in a while. Alexandria, when we first meet it, is the way it is because it's allowed to be that way, because of walls, because of safety, etc. And to varying degrees, the descent that all our survivors go through because they don't have walls is emblematic of like confronting who they are, the world as it is, and being who they are outside. But what I want to get to is that on my first watch, I enjoyed it. On my second watch, I actually almost started to get really, really emotional, because I'm looking at the end.
I did too.
I'm getting to the end because what you notice on the second watch is that, and this is going to bring us back to the beginning, is that the opening shot is of Hope at you know, about to go into the tornado siren facility, let's say, right? And then it continues, it goes back to where they were before, just where they were before, with Iris trying to kill that walker from the end of the last episode. But then you get to the end of the episode, you see what happened to Felix, particularly. I mean, I think without that, I wouldn't have felt it as hard. And then you get to see Hope constantly obsessing over the past throughout this episode, and she's crushing it. And Alexa Mansour is just crushing it. Like, I'm trying not to get emotional right now, but it's there's something really great that's going on here. And even though it's like, look, say what you will, and we're going to get through all the criticism as well, but I was starting to realize that part of why we like to watch zombie apocalypse tales is, you know, that these people are fighting against a losing tide. And it's like watching Titanic. You know what's going to happen. You know they're never going to win. But you want to see how it goes down. You want to see how we went down swinging or not, or in what way did we try and fail? In what ways did we try to succeed? And it kind of goes to what Elton is saying, you know, I'm not scared about being an endling. It actually opens me up to actually find meaning, to do what I was meant to do, or find what I was meant to do, etc. You know, so there's something beautiful about that, you know? It's like the mandala effect, a piece of art, a Buddhist art. So the sand, the colored sand that you arrange in such a way, in such a pattern, and you work on it for days and days and days, only to be destroyed by the end of it. That's these zombie apocalypse shows, if you're doing it right. Well, not if you're not. No, let's be fair, because a lot of the time these zombie movies, like Night of the Living Dead, you know, Land of the Dead, etc., all like from that to that, it's all about how it's futile.
Right.
Like, the zombies will always win. And that's the thing. The zombies will always win. And here's how. And then 2 hours later, you're like, damn, that sucked, but damn, that was good. That's what usually I tune in for. You watch The Walking Dead. It's like, okay, you're fighting a losing battle, but there are these other battles that happen in between. When I watch this, I see the battle isn't really about that as much as you have these childhood traumas. You have these things from the past. You have your screwed up present where you're taught to think about the future. And then you also have these kids, and these kids have their own foibles, meaning like they have teenage thoughts and teenage hormones and teenage, stupid decisions. And so that's another battle to fight. And I kind of want to see how they win that, because that's the one battle that they can win is that eventually they grow up and they learn. And so
unless they die first.
Yeah, unless they die first.
Hope's performance was beautiful this episode. I couldn't agree more. She did absolutely wonderful. I really see her. We were talking last time about the pilotitis, and I can tell. And I don't even know what order they filmed in. It could have been out of order, but I do feel like she was even more comfortable in her role this episode. However, that's not what actually got me emotional. The conversation between her and Alton about the endlings, that was the first time I started getting all fluttery.
Really? Okay. Because you saw her reaction at the end of it.
Well, it wasn't even her reaction. It was just the way Alton was talking about it. Just very matter-of-factly. He wasn't crying, but it was just very matter-of-fact and very...
accepting of it.
Yes, that's what broke my heart. He just accepted, that this is how it's going to be. And I'm like, you should have more hope. You're so young. You should have hope still. But it broke my heart.
But the way in which he accepts it, though, wouldn't you say, and this is going to be relevant for later, but wouldn't you say that it's very adult? It's very, I'm confronting my mortality and acting accordingly. I'm not going to sit here. Right, but I'm not going to sit here like maybe most adults would do and just give up. I'm not going to sit here and just, it's like the maturity of meeting your mortality head on, but at the same time, not what an adult does and just gives up and sits in front of the TV and waits for themselves to die.
Right. He wants to go out and see everything, and he's documenting it as well.
But the energy of it,
really cool.
Yeah, like the energy of youth.
Yeah, but it made me so sad. And then how he explained the last of the humans, the last of the living humans, we're not even the endlings. It's the last walker who is the last endling.
Oh, the shades, yeah. See, that's
their life and their death defines every. It just punched me right in the gut.
The end of that reanimated matter, right?
Yeah.
That shade of what people who, species or alien life may find us by the end of it. The shade, and they will think that is us. That
right.
Poor representation. I see that. I didn't understand quite that part. I thought he meant just the last person, of that species is technically the endling. But then I guess he did have that little bit at the end that said, yeah, but these poor facsimiles or something to that effect.
Right.
Who we are.
Hope thought the same thing you did. She's like, oh yeah, we're the last generation. We're the last of us. And Alton's like, not really what I meant. Actually, the walkers are going to be after us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that made her upset because it's like, I don't want that to happen.
Right.
It's not going down. Not on my watch.
She's realizing that at some point in time, there will be no more humans. It will be only walkers. Yeah.
And you know what's so funny about that is that there is this one scene where Iris is like kind of looking at the blaze at night near the end. And she just goes and she can't keep bullshitting because that's what she's been doing. She just can't keep bullshitting and, faking it till she makes it like King Ezekiel. She kind of just goes, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. All this time I'm thinking I'm responsible for you. I'm going to protect you, but I'm also going to be brave. And I don't know what to do here, and it's fine. Why do you have to always know everything? But Hope says something very interesting in that moment. And that's, you're the one who did the break. I mean, essentially referring to her speech and pushing everybody to go out there. So there's something positive about Iris in faking it till she makes it, right? I can see that. Even though I am a little annoyed by that. I'm going to admit that, right? I mean, aren't you a little?
That she admits that she wasn't ready?
Well, no, more that she's just been, from the beginning of the episode throughout until this moment, she's just been too cavalier. She's been too uncautious.
Well, why, she has
kill this one walker, right?
Yeah, but I understand why she's doing it.
Yeah.
She is putting on a brave face so that everyone else can, and it's working, right? This fake it till you make it is working for everybody that's with her. It's giving them courage. So if that's the purpose, then she succeeded. But she's not fooling herself.
Yeah. Well, and everybody has their own agenda though too, which doesn't make things easier for everybody. Which I think is dangerous in a way. Everybody has their own reason to move forward except for Hope, really, which is ironic because of her name.
Well, what
mean,
is Silas's reason for moving forward?
Oh, he can't go back.
Well, I mean, I know he said that, but
because of what they think he did, that sort of thing.
Okay, so okay.
Yeah.
That's enough for me.
He expresses it in the episode too. He goes,
"Yeah,
well, I can't go back, so
yeah,
and there's no way we can go back." And so he's like pressuring, like, please don't go back.
Well, I mean, little does he know, no one can go back, so he's good.
Yeah, and I was realizing that as everybody was moving forward, like even Felix and Huck, like, okay, when we get back, she's gonna get composting and manure duty.
Yeah,
I forget what it was called.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, I don't think you'll be doing that unless you make some shit up on the spot. I think we're beyond punishments now. Oh, damn. And isn't that like the most tragic thing of all? Because the more I thought about it, like the more I was realizing that when we were given the premise of this show, I really did think that we didn't know what the name was, but Campus Colony was going to actually stand, and they would have some sort of home base, right? Wasn't that the impression that you felt like, okay, we're moving into a society that has groups? We spoke about this a little bit in the first episode where we thought, well, we're going to be dealing with bigger groups, interacting with other big groups, and blah, blah, blah. And now we're entering in almost the same old zombie apocalypse story where, this big place falls, and then what happens after? And here's what happens after. And now we're moving into something completely different, which got me to thinking another thing. Huck and Felix, okay? Picture them, first scene, out in the road, going after everybody else. The doc just doesn't take risks, okay? Leo Bennett. So this lends a little bit further credence to something that you were saying before in the last episode. Something I didn't think of, by the way. I didn't think of the fact that one of those notes may not have been him. Either or, right? Either one or the other doesn't really matter necessarily, but you could say this one was, and this one was, and this one was about. But here's the thing. I'm almost thinking none of them were. Or maybe the first ones were until communication stopped months ago. And all the remaining ones, or the remaining two.
Okay, all right. So make sure I didn't miss any.
Like both of them are maybe from the CRM. Maybe he got found out. Or let's think of a whole other thing. And this dawned on me as well. What if none of them were him? What if all of them was Elizabeth Kublik? And even further to the point, there's two possibilities if that's the case. One, he's completely fine, and no communication has really come in or out. Or it might not even been Elizabeth Kublik. What if it was a third party? And they were being influenced from somebody else, right? And there's no responsibility. There's no bearing she has no bearing on those messages. She doesn't know about them at all, And so he could be totally fine. He may not even be in New York, which is a whole other possibility. And so I was thinking, like, maybe she's making him go, because there's no indication on the map that that's where he is.
Right.
She's just, here's a map in New York. Goodbye.
I would have to say at least one message had to come from Leo. And here's why. The girls had that cabinet set up, in order to receive messages. Leo would have had to been a part of that. So he knew what number to send the messages to. Right. So at some point he would have had to establish communication. But then after that, somebody else could have stepped in and continued sending messages. But
tied him up to a chair.
Right. Well, I'm thinking Leo might not even be alive.
Yeah, one or the other. I mean,
this all might be true. Everything they said might be true. He might be in New York, but he might already be dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it could be so many things, but it's important to kind of relay that because I wouldn't say even important. I think it's a good thing to highlight because in the end, we all want to be surprised, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't it be cool if we were right about one of these several theories? But at the same time, it's cool to be surprised. I was talking to my friend Matt the other day, and he's actually getting into it now too. This is like one of the friends that supports me from afar, but never watches The Walking Dead. Had watched the first few seasons, fell off at some point. There's reasons why he feels that way. It's fine. While we were talking, what eventually came out was one of the things I like a lot about this show and all these Walking Dead properties is that we always try to think of what something might be. But at the end of the day, they do this weird sleight of hand where while you're looking in this one direction, you're not looking at the rest of the world. It's that saying from Dark, that German show with the subtitle, the time travel show that I mentioned, like way back.
Yeah. I haven't watched it, but I know what you're referring to.
So like there's the line in the show, what we know is a drop, what what is an ocean, something like that. What the truth is the ocean.
Oh,
It's something
gotcha.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what they do. They show us the drop, but like really there's an ocean behind them. They have a whole ocean of narrative that you won't see coming. And what brought me to that was like how he was talking about how the kids, you know, there is something about the kids and how annoying they can be. The Dawson's Creek effect, you know, the smart kid who spouts, you know, about the end of the world and being an endling and etc. And like what people didn't like, right? But the other thing is I think that's why I like it, because the kids seem to be the adults. And like Huck and Felix, for example, and they're young adults, right? They're not like that old at all.
Right. No.
But they kind of act more like children than the kids. You know what I mean? And as you get older, that it may be the case. Like with Dr. K, it's like, you know, she has this like childlike, you know, inquisitive, open-minded, open-ended questions. You know, she's not very adult. She's about at the end of her life, but she's like more childlike than anybody. She's not like going poopy diapers, but like. But she had that kind of like, you know, I'm going to give it to you straight like a kid would, you know? I'm going to play around. I'm going to enjoy my life before it ends, you know? And so I like that little role reversal that's going on here as well. You know, Felix and Huck seem like kind of underdeveloped humans in a way. Huck likes to party at night, blah, 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 like to fuck around. Felix is kind of like, you know, awkward a little too. Like knows what he's doing in the apocalypse, but just still...
Puts too much pressure on himself.
Yeah, exactly. You know, because of his adulthood, maybe. Like, he found himself here and he's like, oh, I don't know how to be this thing. You know? I guess I have a boyfriend. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, it didn't seem like he had parents to guide him, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the point, is what I'm saying, is that, like, these kids mostly, I don't know, did. Actually, probably didn't. Who knows?
Well, I mean, even if it wasn't their parents, they grew up, you know, say, like, in a village. You know what I mean? They grew up with lots of parents. So they had... adults looking after them, or you know, people to follow, you know,
to educate. Right. Because of that ethos that I was saying before, that whole collective ethos, you know, it's all about us. It's not about you as individuals, that cohesion effect.
Oh, I was going to ask you, we had talked about before about Felix's, you know, abuse. I don't know about you, but I didn't get the feeling that there was physical abuse. Right. It was you know, mostly emotional abuse. And then obviously his dad kicks him out. That's horrible. But did you see any indications of physical abuse? No, that must have been something else. I mean, or whatever is on his compression sleeve must have been something else. But, you know, moving past that, because I'm obviously wrong. Again, not being. I want to make sure I didn't miss something. You know? Yeah, I mean, that's why I asked. No, you didn't. And I'm not upset about like there not being any, but I there is something to be said about like, God, man, that happening. And like, and I'm glad I brought up the children being the adults, because in that moment that he's dealing with his dad not wanting him to kick him out, there's something going on there where he's like, I don't care about how this makes me feel now, but Dad, you're going to regret this. Why would you want this? There's already, you're out of a job. Undoubtedly, you regret whatever it is that you got fired for. You know, that's one regret. Mm-hmm. Mom, their mom is still there by the end of it, I think. Yeah. But like, you know, when your kid is paying your bills, you know, and he's doing everything to support you, and you're going to kick him out. Yeah. And, you know, Dad, I know who you are. You know, I built you up from when you were just on the floor. I believed in you when nobody would, and you're going to kick me out. You're going to regret this more than anybody. Yeah. You know? Well, and, you know, Felix had to grow up a lot faster as well. I mean, he was paying the bills at home. He was the parent in his home. And then when he got kicked out, you know, he might be going through he's regressing. You know what I mean? He had to grow up as a teenager. So. Right. And so he's kind of like, I didn't know who I was, but I like that. And I like that there's a reflection of that in Elton. Just as you were talking about the Endling conversation, there's something about when he's with his dad as a child. I mean, same age, maybe. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Or a little older, it sounds like. So now he's probably like 28. He was probably 14 there. Yeah, there's something about him confronting his dad, having this adult conversation, but realizing that, you know, it doesn't have to be this way. It's not about me and how I feel now. It's about you, Dad. You know, I'm cool, but you, Dad, I think you're not going to feel good about this. Right. But then you fast forward to like when the night the sky fell, and he's at the university, which, by the way, ends up becoming, I believe, Campus Colony, and he's running that same 48 hours that they've been walking
Huck and Felix.
Yeah.
And so, there's like this coinciding factor where, okay, now he's close to his parents' house after all that walking, and he gets to his parents' house as a kid, and there's something about like, I can't imagine when the world's going to shit around you, why you wouldn't, why does that matter? And that is something that I can see it now. Like, I can see somebody feeling, because the world proved it to them, that, I obviously didn't deserve, love, But it's weird to say that, because I remember when I was watching the end of the episode, the last note that I wrote, Hope can't sleep either. Maybe Felix and Hope hate the thing they hate in each other. Maybe. But they could understand each other so much better, more than anyone else, if they just tried. Meaning, they both think, because of what happened to them, or because of what they have done, that they will never be able to get love, or they will never be able to succeed. I mean, Hope acts out, Hope acts out because she thinks, no matter what I do, good or bad, like, there's nothing I can do to get your love. There's nothing I can do that is deserving of love because of what I did. And Felix had that proved to him. Felix had it proved to him that, like, you are unlovable. Your love was not enough to make me want to accept you as my son. All the way until the end of the world. Fuck.
I can definitely see that in Felix's situation, but I don't know that I see that for Hope. I mean, I see her struggling with something, but there's absolutely no reason that she thinks she wouldn't be capable of being loved.
I see.
I mean, her sister loves her. She accepts that love.
Her
dad loves her.
There's a book on psychology there's a couple books on this actually, but one of the biggest things that I went through, not even that long ago, a couple of years ago. It's a radio show from Armand DeMille, and he's like a therapist. And one of the interesting things that I learned about the drama of the gifted child is that there are two big ways that children deal with growing up sometimes. And that's, when they finally confront authority and they do, they push their boundaries, they do something wrong. You either learn that you have to be grandiose and in order to get the love, like, do bigger things, be a bigger person, or be like a performer, to do tricks for your supper for your parents. Or you go the other way, and that's, that part of you feels like you can never get the love, and that you have to be sneaky and tell lies or act out, and when you act out, that's like your way of saying, I know that they're not going to love me anyway, so I might as well just act out. And then when I get caught, I'll lie about it. You either get depressed or you get grandiose. That's why you find that, like, some people, some celebrities, when you find out that they ultimately hurt themselves, is that this is just them saying, in one way, or one kernel of a way, that they will never be loved. But, they have this big personality to try to avoid being depressed. Like, it's like one thing replaces the other. So when I go back and I look at Hope, I'm looking at a person who, because of what she did, there's nothing on this earth that is going to change her mind about knowing that she doesn't deserve love because of this act. And she's fondling this thing. She can't sleep. Now it's like, this is going back to why I brought up why you become a different person, or like, is that the quote? You become a different person when you're outside these walls, is that now you have time to focus on this stuff. Like, you're confronted with it, you're acting in the world in life or death situations, and you're confronted with this reality, this harsh reality, that this is the way, now you're with yourself, you're with your thoughts, you're with it while you're in a life or death situation. You need to figure this shit out, because if you don't, it's going to drag you down. And so when I see that, and I see the Endlings conversation, and I see how she reacts to him saying that, walkers are going to be the last things, it makes me think of what she says to Iris afterwards. She gives her a break. Iris goes to the side. She says, I don't know what I was thinking, sort of. And Hope just goes, it's about you. It's about what you did, what you said. You are brave. And I'm pairing those two conversations because I see a Hope that knows that she doesn't want it to be walkers that are the last things we see, but B, knows that she's not going to be one of those people, or feels like she's not going to be one of those people that's going to survive to the end. So she's going to do everything in her power to make sure that Iris is that last person. And I think that's so sweet. That's what I got from her pulling her to the side and saying, no, it has to be you. It has to be you. I want you to be the endling, let's say. You know, you are the best. You are everything that I see as the future. You know, that you worked so hard to build a future. I want it to be you. You know, I saw that like in her eyes, you know, because it all kind of ties together. I love it. I love how they built that up. And that's why I got emotional, because I was like, oh, but she don't get it. She going to be the future. She going to be the endling. I felt it in my bones. Like, you know, like I felt that that's what was going on. Like, you know, it's like, okay, remember Fear the Walking Dead? Like last night?
What's that?
Yeah, such a long time ago. It feels like forever ago. But like, you know, Morgan goes, it's got to be you. You know, you got to bring my people here. And then Isaac lifts up his shirt and he goes, nah, no, hombre. It's got to be you. Again, it's got to be you. You know, this is like the Hope and Iris situation, the Rick and Morgan situation. And it's just so, I've got like fucking goosebumps. I'm like, my tits are shivering right now. I can't tell you.
I'm glad you got something out of that, because that's not what I saw at all.
I like what Sharon D says. She's like Rick and Morgie, but no. What did you get out of that? I kind of want to see what your take is, and maybe something could be said about swirling those both together.
My opinion on that scene actually stems back from her conversation with Silas right after she pulls a Michonne and goes out and takes care of that walker. You know, which. That scene in itself, I mean, I could say a lot about that. Taking this on her own, going out there by herself. I mean, she probably out of all of them has the most training and is the most capable of doing this. But, you know, as soon as she gets back, Silas says, you know, did you take care of it? And she's like, I didn't do anything. For that comment kind of confused me, but more to the point. He says, you know, I'm sorry. I should have taken care of that. It was my mistake. And this isn't even the first time we've heard him say that. He's continually apologizing. Exactly. Continually apologizing for not taking out this walker. So he obviously feels a huge sense of responsibility. This thing is still here. He feels like he's the cause of this thing still being here. And Hope just, you know, takes care of it.
Right.
In a scary way, but she pulls through. But what she says to him is, it's not your mistake. It's not yours. But you know what? Go ahead and tell yourself that.
Well, and you know, that's the thing.
It doesn't mean it has to follow you around forever.
You got it.
She says this to him, but really, I felt like she was also giving herself permission to let that go as well. So
maybe
her issue.
I think that's ironic, personally. Like, she's saying it, but she doesn't believe it. That's what I believe. But you know what I mean? Because she still can't sleep by the end.
And I saw it differently. And by the end, when I saw her crying, I just saw a terrified little girl who was in over her head.
Right. I think
that's what I saw.
I think she's been crying since that Endlings conversation, because I feel like, right? You said this, I think, the other episode. Right.
But the scene between her and Iris, when she kind of gives her back that hope, you know, it's so funny that her name is Hope, right? That whole conversation between the two of them, you know, Iris starts doubting herself, and Iris starts doubting herself. Hope says, no, you were brave because you did this big thing, you know, no matter what else happens, at least you did something.
Right.
You did this thing. So I mean, that was where my focus was. I wasn't thinking anything about Hope was going to die and make sure her sister survives. And like,
well, I mean,
like
I'm not going that far. I mean, maybe I'm just saying that Hope obviously does this big gesture, you know, heading into the tornado siren. I think maybe she's thinking, you know, if it means I might die, I'm okay with that. But I'm not thinking she wants to. I'm just thinking that she is going to do whatever it takes to make sure that it's Iris that wins out. So it's not about her. It's not about her at all. And I find that kind of so great, like so really. I mean, it's great, but it's also tragic. Like it doesn't have to be that way, you know. It's like, so it's like Morgan. It doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to die. I can take the bullet fragments out. You know. I mean, why does it have to be this way? But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Her trying to get to the tornado siren makes a lot more sense than what I thought. I just thought she was taking off.
Oh no! Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's clear that she's doing that in the beginning and the end, because in the very next scene, or like in the teaser, and this is how to make it clear, she radios them in and goes, "Wake up, dumbasses! You know, get ready to move." I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought it was actually clear from the episode, but like
we don't see her like turn a doorknob or anything. She's just sort of traversing through the burning tires.
Well,
it looked to me like she was leaving.
Even in those scenes, we don't see her actually make it. So in those upcoming scenes, and now if you remember, we always have this conversation, by the way. If you wait till after the credits, they will give you a little bit of a 10-second peek into the next episode, that with the fast flashes between scenes and stuff like that.
On AMC?
No. Well, yeah, you're watching on the app, right? AMC Premiere? Yeah, it'll show you.
Oh.
It doesn't always. I will grant you that. But lately, I think they've been doing it right. So they have been showing it. So it becomes clear that that's where she's headed.
Okay. I mean, I like that a lot better. I was a little upset that she was just taken off. I'm like, you're the one who couldn't handle 2 walkers, and now you're going to go off on your own? Crazy. But no, I like this much better. Okay.
Right? Some of that teenage shit, right?
Yeah, it is.
I get it, though, because they're teenagers, and sometimes they make stupid decisions, Iris.
Right.
Iris. And even Hope. There is that little mirror reflection. Iris during the day trying to take out that walker and can't quite. Also falling down. Also into a pool. Or what looks like a pool, right?
It was like a drainage.
Yeah.
What do they call
water?
Like a really big concrete ditch.
Yeah, it reminds me of like the canals, like in France, where there's like the steps. Yes. But yeah, and then also Hope in a pool, but at night. So there's like this yin and yang, right?
Yes. Sharon D says it's a culvert.
Oh, it's a culvert.
That's what it is. A culvert. Yes. Thank you.
When Huck and Felix finally decide to take rest, they're gaining some good ground. They're pretty much caught up with them. He starts to realize that Hope is the one leaving the breadcrumbs behind so that they can actually follow, which is odd as far as her character goes, because for somebody who tries to get away with everything, she knows that he's the one person that's going to be trying to find her in this situation. Hopes he does. I
think Hope's realizing faster than anyone that they are in over their heads. I mean, it was fun to get in trouble in a safe community. Out here, you get in trouble, you could die. It's not just about being in a jail cell overnight anymore. So I think Hope realizes they're in over their head, and she hopes that Felix is going to catch up to them sooner than later.
Right. And I think what we're going to find out in the next episode is that Hope isn't the only one that's familiar with death. There is a scene, particularly with Silas, and you see him in the back of an ambulance, and his hands are kind of shaking. The headphones are on his head still. Like, obviously, he's still Silas, but it's recent. It's not when he was a kid. And
so maybe what happened in Omaha is what you're saying.
And there's blood on his.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
so maybe we'll get a little peek into his history.
Yeah.
I like it.
And people are talking about his son, something about son, you have to go here. Like, things are going on, and you almost can't hear it because it's probably what's going on in Silas's head. He's like in shock. It's all you see. It's just him shaking as the camera pans upwards from his hands to his face. And it's just this like heartbreaking, almost like watching him. What was it? What did he do, or what was done to him?
Sharon is saying that she thinks Hope is wary of Iris's sudden 180 in her attitude. Iris is generally the safer one, and she even says, "You're usually talking me out of stuff like this. What are you thinking?" Yeah. So
Hope is the one leaving the breadcrumbs.
Right.
Again, role reversal. The yin and yang swirls. The wheel spins. I like that. I like how they play with that. Who you are outside the walls is different than who you were inside the walls.
Right.
So Felix and Huck finally take rest. We're gaining some great ground. And then you see that Felix also can't sleep, just like Hope, which is why I made that comment at the end. And it's that, he's thinking of these things, he's thinking of the past. Huck's totally fine, passes out like a rock. No problem. just like Angela or Tony Danza, whatever.
Right.
But before we go back to that, because I do want to touch on that, you find out that very night he goes out because his parents are nearby, and he tries to put them down. His last attempt to be the good son to try to get in their favor, and yet he gets to the door and he probably realizes it's already too late. There's nothing I can do. Am I doing them any favors? I mean, that's kind of more of my question, rather. And to Sharon D's specific question is that, did you get that he actually killed them when he went back, or do you think he couldn't do it? And I kind of want to ask all around, because I'll go last. But what do you think he actually ended up killing him? Because from what it seemed like, he didn't.
From what it seemed, I have to agree.
Even I questioned it for a second.
I'm still kind of questioning it. It seemed as if he did not go through with it. Huck notices the blood on his hand, but
or whatever that schmutz was, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it kind of looked like blood, which made sense because now help me out here because here's what I think I saw, but maybe I was wrong. So we see Felix's flashback as he's walking up to another walker and he's about to stick it. And we hear Huck say, don't go disappearing like you did last night or whatever comment she makes. And then we get into his flashback.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, she says specifically, she says, so where were you last night anyway?
She says something more snarky about sneaking off. Anyway, she says it in passing right before we go back into his flashback. So then, we go back to the night before, and we see him at the front door, and he's struggling with whether or not to do it. We hear the noises inside, but then what I see is him turn from the door, walk towards the front yard because there's a walker in the front yard,
right?
And he actually kills that walker, and in the process of killing that walker,
we find we're in the present.
We're snapped back to the present.
Yeah.
Did I see that correctly?
Well, yeah, like the last night versus tonight, that sort of thing. Yeah.
So
I thought so too.
So what I think is he just killed the walker in the front yard, which is where the blood came from on his hand, and wasn't able to get into his parents' house.
Right.
Couldn't emotionally get into his parents' house.
or maybe this was kind of like a weird. Maybe even he doesn't like
what
that weird thing where he doesn't even know he did it. If he did it, if
he killed his parents or not.
Yeah, like
he says he did
because
he says it very clear.
Well, because of the way we all saw it, you're kind of like, wait, which walker is he killing here? Is he killing the walker from just now, or was he killing the walker from last night? Because that's what makes me think that's what got me to pause for a second. Like, wait, hold on.
Very clearly, there's one walker who's in a front yard because there's grass, and then the walker in the present is on concrete with fence. And he kills both of them.
No, yeah. But it seems like but the way it goes down, it feels like it happens at the same time, which that's the only reason why it made me pause. But I mean, ultimately, if you're asking me, I think he didn't do it. And I think what Sharon says is kind of what I'm thinking, but kind of not, because I do think there's still more conflict in store for Felix. And what Sharon says is maybe he decided his parents needed to live eternity in hell. And so, yeah.
I think most people would feel that way, but I don't see Felix being that vindictive. All he wanted was for his parents to love him. I
don't even think most people would do that, by the way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know.
I think everything everybody does, kind of like what I was saying in the beginning, was like, I think a lot of people do what they do to get the love, or abandon it and never think they're going to get the love, and then they don't do it, anyway. Right. So either way, they don't do it.
Yeah.
I
don't know. That's really tough. That's really tough. I think that's going to be a season-long question. He says he killed his parents, but I don't know if I believe him.
Well, he says, I went to kill my parents is what he said. Whether he did it, he didn't. It's the line. It's not clear.
You're right. He did phrase it that way. He didn't say I killed them. He said I went to.
Oh yeah. So she says, you're gonna tell me where you went last night? He says to kill my, and like, I love the way he delivered the line too. Like he's walking towards the camera to kill my parents. and then it flashes to the front door, like you said, and then all that stuff.
Oh no, that was after. She says all that after the flash. That's
no,
when we come back to the present.
Here's the thing. No, it's this weird thing that's going on. He's going towards the walker while Huck is saying this behind him. It flashes to the front door. He's banging on the door, blah, blah, blah. And then he turns around, obviously walks away, sees the walker in the front yard, and it goes back to him killing the walker he was walking towards when he was talking to Huck.
Right.
So it's this weird. So it's like
we get an answer after
it's there. Yeah. And so I walk away thinking a little bit of both. At the end of the day, I don't think he ultimately killed his parents as walkers. I think it's more like, what's the point? What's the point? Like, they're not going to accept me in the afterlife, let's say. So, why deal with this now? And so like, you're wondering if he does do this, what's the point? I tried so hard,
No kidding.
What is the point? They didn't want me then. They're not going to want me now, So why? And one could say, and some people would even agree to this, like, maybe that's not the point. Maybe you just do it because it's the right thing to do. I don't know. I hope nobody is ever in that situation, but I know those situations do happen.
I mean, at the end of the day, you just got to take out all the walkers, right? So no matter who they are, you got to put them down because that's 2 less walkers in the world.
Right. As dangerous things.
Exactly. They're a danger. No matter who they were before, they are currently a danger. So you got to take them out.
Right. But this makes me wonder, like sometimes, like Hope, right? Hope went the other way. I'm never gonna get the love, so I'm gonna act out and I'm gonna lie about it, and I'm gonna do things behind your back because I think that's the only way that I'm never gonna impress you. So I might as well do this shit because it impresses me. Me getting away with it. You're now like my adversary, mom or dad, rather.
Yeah.
Sorry. But interesting how Felix kind of went the other way. He became a security force officer. He became even more prescient. Like maybe that's Leo Bennett at play. Maybe he found a figure with which he could find the love. And with him gone, that may be part of the reason why, aside from being outside the walls, aside from being near his parents' home, it is something that it's funny, like he doesn't even begin to think about this until Huck says something very specific. So Felix and Huck are having this conversation. He doesn't even think about it. I mean, they're not even near his parents' home. But Huck says, as soon as they see that funnel, because they have to kind of go through this thing, and to get to the other side. As soon as they see that, they'll be glad that, she says exactly, they'll be glad they have a home to come back to.
Right.
And that's what gets him thinking, because at the very next scene, because we realize the road east is towards his parents' home, and it flashes back to him and his dad being jobless and all that stuff. I just love how there's like this, everything leads into another. It's like this it's like you're in a dream. You know how your dreams kind of change, but they change because of the very last thing that happened. So if it brings you into a room with a clown, with a faceless clown, and that makes you think of McDonald's, and then McDonald's makes you think of driving into a drive-through, and then
we had to go right into clowns, didn't we? Thank you.
No, but we went straight past that into McDonald's because it made you think of Ronald. But the whole idea of like there's like a dreamlike quality to how all these narratives kind of tie together.
Sure.
I like that. How what she says makes him think of this, and then he finds himself at his parents' home, which makes him think of the past, which and then all the things that happen throughout this episode that kind of even tie into each of these characters too.
So I think I saw one of the coolest things in this episode, something new that I can't think of that we've ever seen before in any of these universes.
Let's say it. What's the coolest thing you saw in this episode?
The beehive walker.
The like wasp walker.
That was so cool.
Or hornet's nest. I can't remember which is which because
it did look like a wasp's nest because it was like honeycombed. Like my parents have wasps at their house, and it looks just like that. Yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah,
that was really, really cool.
Yeah, when Matt Negretti was talking about that, he was like thinking, he was having these sessions with, I forget who, but he was like saying, back and forth, they were sending pictures of gross things back and forth. And they're trying to think, like everybody does, like what is the grossest thing that we can think of? Now he himself has this fear of holes in things, like,
oh, that's a real thing. Yeah.
It's a real thing, and he has it.
It is.
And he said, as soon as I thought of that, I said, I have this thing, and I think that would terrify a lot of people, or at least think it's really cool.
Yeah.
I will never look at this scene, but I think we should do this because this is something that we've never done. Now, how crazy is that? Like that idea of that, like
It was so cool. The only thing I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around, and it could be easily explained, that this empty, I'm gonna try and get used to saying that. This empty has clearly been sitting there for a while, right? This is not a mobile up and wandering around type of walker or empty.
I don't think it doesn't even get up. That's the thing.
Right.
Kind of like a wasp's nest. It just attaches itself to whatever it's connected to.
Right. This wouldn't happen if this were a mobile, an ambulatory walker.
Exactly.
Which is so cool.
Well, I thought the first walker we see, is it the first one we see? It might have been the one where it was kind of enveloped or like a part of the fallen tree stump.
And Elton takes a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just moving its eyes.
That was so pretty.
Like all moss covered and everything. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
And
that was
like, do you remember? And remember, like, this is like the same feeling we got when we saw the concept art. And remember, like, we saw the big one we thought was Jerry's really Silas. but but like all the concept art we were seeing was like all these walkers and like merging with the environment. And we get a taste.
Yeah.
We get a tiny taste of this in I think it was the beginning of season 9 of The Walking Dead, where
the tree.
Where it merged,
Yeah.
where the walker that Daryl's near merged with the tree, and you see nature. You see like birds landing on it.
Like a bird. Yeah, yeah.
And it tries
like
to bite it.
A bird had made a nest somewhere near it. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So
that would happen. That would absolutely happen.
10 years, we're at that point now. So, but
Yep.
this does it on like a totally other degree, and
It's beautiful. The color. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Remember, and you also remember how we were talking about in the teaser, how like, when they're inside the walls, and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there is a sort of tinge of color for when they're in the walls. It's kind of like a yellowy color. If you notice, the color gradings kind of bends towards the yellow. And then once you get outside the walls, it's a little bit more colorful. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's never been more present or noticeable than like, okay, they get attacked. So the wasp walker happens. I'm glad we brought this up. See, we're even talking about this in a dreamlike state,
right?
in a stream of consciousness.
We got a good flow.
Yeah, the walker doesn't get up. Sorry, the wasp walker opens its mouth, and then all the wasps come out of it from the holes in the face and everything. And then right behind them is that the walker they end up spray painting. Well, that walker the Elton ends up spray painting follows them to the treehouse after they lost it. When that walker finally catches up with them at the treehouse, and they try to fire Big Mo on it, the bowling ball that Hope finds. And I love how Sharon is saying, for real, we had a whole thing with Mo Collins about Big Mo on Twitter.
That's funny.
Which is
see,
sweet.
I thought it was a little, tip of the hat to Morgan. Big Mo.
On second watch, I'm like, Big Momo?
Big Mo. Big Mo. That's what Morgan's gonna go by now. You can call me Big Mo.
Should be like that big jacket, and then on the back it says in big tag letters,
Big Mo.
and it sounds like the kids say it.
Oh my gosh, that scene was so awkward.
Which one?
The Big Mo scene when they're all like saying it to each other.
When they're rolling it to each other?
Yeah. On my second watch, I'm like, oh, can I just fast forward this? I'm so embarrassed for them.
But that's the thing. Like, okay, and I want to get into this. But, oh, wait, I didn't finish my thought. The colors never been more present than when the walker is just clawing at it, after they fail at killing it with the bowling ball, where you see the fireflies all around it. They're going to keep bringing this back, how like the world that they wanted to enter in to see what was up, or obviously to save their dad, is more colorful, more vibrant, more meaningful, and beautiful. Like there's something to be said about taking the world on its own terms rather than trying to pretend in a society. Like I'm not saying that we shouldn't try to rebuild society. But there's something to be said about acknowledging that outside is a big old tire fire, literally and figuratively.
Yeah,
so
right?
so we're acknowledging that by way of color, by way of the cinematography. So which again I have to remind everybody that Magnus Martens is actually directing the series. Magnus Martens is actually, I think, originally a DP, director of photography.
Stop it.
But they did, by the way. So Sharon is saying how The Simpsons predicted the Blaze of Gory, and I can't remember exactly what it was. I saw a meme on it. They also predicted, if I remember right,
they predicted everything.
They also predicted the way the Walking Dead season finale would end up. I remember it was Homer following a big helicopter donut and then falling off a cliff, but to a whole bunch of clones of Homer. So it must have been one of those Treehouse of Horror episodes.
Oh my gosh!
All the clone Homers are following the big donut being airlifted from the helicopter. Anyway, so
oh my gosh!
Big Mo. No, but going back to the Big Mo thing, I thought we needed that. We have to keep remembering. The show has to keep reminding us that they're kids. It's not a kids show. But we have to remember that they're kids. But simultaneously, the fact that they keep not being able to kill walkers is so important. It's so important. I remember having this moment when we saw in season 9, at the end of season 9, mid-season 9, when Carl and Sadiq go out and they do what Sadiq do. they try to take out some walkers. Like, it's never been more present than when you see Carl get bit. You know, we sort of see it, but you know it. And I thought that was like, look, it sucked, but like at the same time, it's like, well, don't forget that this can happen at any moment, that you won't always win. And like, what kills me about seeing shitheads, complete shitheads, write shitty posts, and I'm seeing it on IMDb.
Uh-oh.
You know, these stupid, like, oh, it's so unbelievable, the acting's terrible, blah blah blah. And I'm like, you are not getting it. You're just not getting it. Look, you don't have to be a kid to appreciate this show. You just have to remember what it was like.
I don't understand why people feel the need to voice that kind of opinion. If you don't like the acting, go watch another show. Right. I can't tell you how many times I've done that. If the acting sucks, I'm not going to keep watching it, but I'm also not going to go online and bash the actors for doing their jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Like, I finally understood why, and I'm okay with it, why you get a lot of Fear the Walking Dead hate, because these are people who invested in seasons 1, 2, and 3. They were true believers, you know, of what was going on and what they were trying to do. And then they switched it up on them. I get that. I can sort of get the same thing when people talk about, I'm a Walking Dead. And I saw the specific kind of comment where they said, I'm a Walking Dead fan and I watch this show and I don't give a crap about it, but I do want to see how this ties up with Rick.
Oh.
But you know what? That's the thing. I think the thing that my criticism of people like that is like, and you see this every now and again, and I'm not naming names, obviously, but you talk to people from the camp, you talk to people on Twitter, you talk to people on Instagram, and I feel like some of these people are locked in. Like, all they care about is The Walking Dead, right? You know what I mean? It's like, that's the only show that they watch. They don't care about anything else. They'll rewatch shows in lieu of watching anything else. Occasionally they'll watch a horror movie, maybe, but it's all they talk about. But with respect to one thing, The Walking Dead original series. Fuck Fear the Walking Dead. I'll get around to it, maybe not. But then they watch the first episode of World Beyond, be like, oh, you know, if we're gonna get Rick references, then maybe I'll watch it. And then they watch it, they hate it, but they'll hate watch it later because they want to get that. and go figure, all they see is, if they're even thinking or even they're even noticing it because they don't watch Fear the Walking Dead, is Fear the Walking Dead references. And I think that's hilarious now. You know what I mean?
I mean, I felt like I had to watch Fear the Walking Dead, and honestly, I mean, I've not been shy about it. I did not like the first 3 seasons at all. I mean, at all. But I felt like I kept comparing it to, so you know, when you're a kid and you have a best friend, okay, and your best friend's cousin comes over to play, right? They're not your friend. You don't really want to hang out with them, but you do want to hang out with your best friend, so you put up with the cousin.
Right.
That's how I felt about Fear the Walking Dead for the first 3 seasons.
Right. That is so specific. Like, even if like they're not even that bad, you just feel like, okay, but can I hang out with my friend?
Exactly. Like, they might be perfectly fine, but they're not your friend.
Yeah. I mean, like, why does hanging out with you come with baggage?
Exactly. But I love it now.
Oh yeah, okay.
Season 4 totally restored my love for Fear.
I find that very fascinating because it is that polar reaction, and really rightfully, because were you watching Fear the Walking Dead from the beginning, or had you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
See, I often find that the people that start watching Fear will start from 4, like Sharon D.
No.
And then, you know, they'll watch the first 3 and be like, I don't even recognize the show, or I don't know, you know, what I'm looking at, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which goes to show, but I mean, look at everybody with their unique perspectives. Though, like Sharon D walks into Fear the Walking Dead and loves it, then goes, okay, hold on, before I even watch the beginning parts of Fear the Walking Dead, I'm going to watch The Walking Dead, and then move forward, and then catch up with Fear, and then I'll watch that now, because that's where she's at now. She binged The Walking Dead over the summer, and now she's getting familiar with Fear the Walking Dead as it was.
Oh my gosh.
It's yesteryears. And that's the thing, like, I do often find that the more hardcore watchers are ones that really do love seasons 1, 2, and 3. I get it. I really liked it. Really liked it for what it was.
A Fear?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I liked it a lot because I knew what they were doing. I knew intimately what they were trying to do. And they weren't trying to be like The Walking Dead. And that was what people liked about it, is that, and granted, I will say this out loud. It's what most Walking Dead watchers hated about it. It's like they wanted, and goes to what my description of with some people that we meet and we converse with online, is that they are just the Walking Dead fan. And I find that very sad, because the most vocal of criticisms of this show, The Walking Dead World Beyond, to get us back on track, are people who just watch The Walking Dead and probably nothing else. And then they talk about it like as though it's like a betrayal almost. And I scoff at this because, you know, here we are every now and again talking about like Room 104, or we're talking about Utopia. We talk about The Order, fucking Order. And we talk about all these things to kind of pull in other references and comparisons. And then because we want to be able to accurately describe an experience. Okay, and Sharon is saying even, I'm enjoying the first 3 seasons, but really all of my favorite characters came in season 4. Yeah, it's you know, sometimes you're introduced to that first.
I just, you know, I had this idea that Fear the Walking Dead was going to start at the beginning of the apocalypse, which it did. But I expected to see more of the beginning days. Not just
them hiding behind the barbershop and hiding in their homes. Although, isn't that really weird?
I really thought that at least the first couple of seasons were going to be all about those first few months of the apocalypse. Like, where's the army? Where's, you know, the authorities? What happens to the people who were supposed to save us? I felt really let down when after the first season, we just jump ahead and we're like, okay. So we're not going to find out what, okay. Cool.
We jump ship, we set sail and then jump ship.
Literally.
Yeah. I happen to like that. I'll tell you why. I wanted to see what you were talking about. I kind of did.
Yeah.
But then at the same time though, I'm glad they didn't do it because eventually you wouldn't see that, right? You see all this chaos, you see all this craziness, blah, 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 but eventually it would stop and quick.
Well, right.
You know? And so there's something about like, you can't sustain that energy, that like kind of like fast pace. See, if you want to do it right, you go Black Summer. Do you remember? Have you seen Black Summer? I hope you have.
Yeah. Yes, I have.
And that is just like constant, man. It's constant, just adrenaline zombies. And it's just like, that's how you do it, and that's how it's gonna stay.
I guess that's how I pictured the first couple seasons of Fear would be.
Yeah,
and it wasn't.
and you know what? And this is something we touched upon when we talked about Fear the Walking Dead last night. That the name Fear the Walking Dead,
Fear the Walking Dead, yeah,
like lends to that. Oh, that's what it's gonna be about, and it ends up like not really being about that. I feel like they should have called it something else. I feel like it was that name that they chose that would get people to go, oh, Fear the Walking Dead. Like, all right. And so I thought maybe they should have just called it the Clarks. No, I'm like, no. I feel like they should have called it something more along the lines of like Trek the Walking Dead, or because it ends up being this like journey, you know?
Well, and I mean, as we know now, it doesn't even have to be a word before The Walking Dead. It can just be The Walking Dead.
The Next Generation.
Yeah, exactly. Something. Right. Although I still stand by my decision to call The Walking Dead World Beyond should have been Loathing the Walking Dead.
I know, but then that sounds funny because it's like, wait, hold on. Wait, you hate The Walking Dead? Yeah, that's like sounds like a documentary of how your opinion changed on The Walking Dead.
I know, but then we would have Fear and Loathing the Walking Dead.
Well, you know that I sort of called out the name, what it would be, right?
What, World Beyond?
I said The Walking Dead Beyond, or Beyond the Walking Dead, and they chose putting that at the end.
Yeah.
I wrote this down on Twitter.
I do remember you bringing that up. I do remember you bringing that up.
Yeah, and that's a good idea. Like, I mean, look, it can't always be blank The Walking Dead, or you know what I mean, right? So
sure,
right, Tales of the Walking Dead. Okay, well, let's go back to pre-pending. I don't know.
I'm just trying to be funny. I didn't think they would actually name it Loathing.
I
just wanted to say Fear and Loathing the Walking Dead.
Right, I know. Fear and The Walking Dead, and then Loathing the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Circle is complete. Anyway, so by the way Fear the Walking Dead did the apocalypse, it's a lot like 2020, isn't it? And then this is what I was thinking as we were talking about it, and I kind of wanted to say it, but then Sharon came in right after it, well, after but before. She says the virus and riots, Fear predicted 2020. But that's how it would go down, right? Mm-hmm. They would quarantine us, and then We'd find out.
Absolutely.
We'd find out eventually there's chaos outside these walls.
Get everybody inside their homes while whatever's going on, they're trying to protect us.
Right.
And then it's already too late. The world's gone to shit and we're all stuck in our houses.
Yeah, and you hear Hell's soundtrack all around you, right?
Yep. It's all right. I have plenty of weapons in here. I've thought this through.
Damn, I have not. I have plenty of blunt objects. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's a printer up there that I could definitely use.
Anything can be a weapon. Just ask John Wick.
Or Felix.
Or Felix.
Because, I mean...
Or the spray paint can guy.
Yeah, from Fear the Walking Dead, yes.
Yeah.
Just with the cigarette hanging from his mouth, too. Right? Wasn't that a picture or something?
That was awesome.
Anyway, Alicia watching the neighbor getting attacked was freaky. Yeah, but like and that freaky thing that you do when you look at neighbors across the street when it started to go down is like you're wanting to search their face to see what they're feeling, and then they have right. And then you criticize them for what they're doing, whatever it is they're doing.
I was looking forward to a lot of that too, like seeing how the people in communities interact with each other when chaos is going on. Like, oh, Mrs. Johnson, what's going on? I don't know. What did you hear? I wanted to see more of the panic, more of the what leads up to all of this chaos.
The monsters on Maple Street, right, or something like that. Monsters on Maple Street. You did get a little of that though. You did get a tiny bit of that, but it was more
tiny
the army.
Bit. I wanted more though.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted more. I wanted what they did, and I wanted more of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, I mean, it's that weird thing where you have to decide what kind of show you are, right? But at the end of the day, you being a part of the Walking Dead universe, the roads are always going to end up going the way of the Walking Dead. Like, they can't do anything that's so dramatic that it's going to steer them completely in a different tone or ultimate direction, right? Even if they do, they have to convince you that they can swing back around and go down this way in the zombie apocalypse. I mean, and that's the thing. I think they always had this general idea of playing it safe enough so that if they needed to reference each other, these shows, do you know what I mean? That they could, and so they didn't want to swing that widely off course. So even though they always said they would never cross over, and then eventually Morgan crosses over that way. Like they always had said nobody from Fear is coming to The Walking Dead, period. And I think that I don't know if they maintain that, but I think that's been the general rule. But nobody ever said somebody from The Walking Dead couldn't cross over that way.
Right.
So, or some bodies once told me that Morgan and the Dwighty.
So far, there's 3 of them. So far, they got 3 of our TW people.
Who's the third?
It's going to be Sherry.
Oh, yeah. My bad. I mean,
we haven't technically seen her yet, but she will be.
And it's the 3rd year of that, like crossover. Maybe that's the plan, like season 7 will be Rick. Season 7 will be Rick. We just solved the mystery.
So here's what's going to happen. Everybody from Walking Dead besides Daryl and Carol are going to come over to Fear, and they're going to continue their journey over on Fear, and then Daryl and Carol are going to have their own spinoff.
Or wow, whoa, hold on a second. Yeah, like what if Fear the Walking Dead characters pour into that series? Whew.
Why not?
Yeah. Ooh, I think we just solved something. Season 7 is Daryl of Fear the Walking Dead. Oh, see, I'm thinking the other. Oh, well, maybe it's a package deal. I don't know. Or do you remember? Okay, like, do you remember how in the past, like with TGI Friday? Oh, sorry, we should credit that to Sharon D. See, season 7 is Darren Carroll. Yeah. So, do you remember how in TGIF, like you had Perfect Strangers, Family Matters, and Step by Step, and then in the past you had Happy Days. And then you had Joni and Chachi. But in the main series, there was always that one episode that kind of launched or sort of pseudo launched the spinoff.
Oh, so, sure. Yeah.
So Daryl and Carol's spinoff will be like on Fear the Walking Dead. They'll show up and then they'll not show up again. And that'll be like the episode 0 of the Daryl and Carol show. Joni and Chachi.
Yeah, maybe. Yep.
That could be cool, like a throwback, but also like in the zombie apocalypse, so it'll be gory and whatnot. It'll be an episode of Fear the Walking Dead, but with Daryl and Carol in it.
Right. Sharon D says, the Fonz meets Mork.
Yep. I faintly remember that. And they always had crossovers like that. Crossover spin-offs, like TV finds a way, right? The TV had because there wasn't that much on too, by the way. So you could do that a lot. But then, even
That's
Family,
something.
even Family Matters. I'm not sure that Carl eventually showed up on Perfect Strangers, but we knew that Harriet was the elevator operator. Things like that, and then Urkel ends up showing up on Step by Step to launch that. And then Urkel shows up on the flagship. Well, sorry, not. Well, I guess it was sort of a flagship show, Full House. Urkel crashes in through the roof. I remember all this shit because it showed up on the same night. Yeah, only three networks back in the past. In fact, I think it was only two in the beginning. I think it was CBS. No, it was. I always get this wrong. I think it was ABC. I want to say, and then public television.
Oh wow!
If I'm not mistaken, I might be wrong. I was Friends crossed over with Matt. Sorry,
Mad
Friends
About
got over
You.
Mad About You because Lisa Kudrow had parts on both shows. Wow.
Was she Phoebe on both parts, or just the actress was on both? I mean, they share actors.
Oh, she was Phoebe's twin.
Oh, so it was Ursula.
That is hilarious. In which get cross-referenced every now and again. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I love it. I love that. I love TV.
Ursula.
Well, this is like really weird. Like, isn't it really weird how that really can only happen in the past? Because right now there's all these different shows, and now you can only get it in these spin-off Walking Dead insular universe kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we're getting a little throwback in that. We might. I don't know. It's funny. Yesterday I felt like we were just fumbling around a little bit, but I feel like today flowed so much better. Fear the Walking Dead versus Walking Dead World Beyond. Mm-hmm. It's funny how that works, though. And it also depends on the episode. We've had episodes of The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead where it's just you're just watching events unfold and there's no bigger meaning. There's nothing to look out for. There's nothing to really read into. And those are the worst shows to actually do. Do you know what I mean? They're the worst because nothing really happens of significance that references something back then or references something in the future that may happen. But they happen. Those shows happen. It's just it makes me well, Morgan's back. And he's not dead.
And he's not gonna die.
A cool murderer came in. I should feel like I should take this and put it in the other. Cool murderer came in. We thought he was going to stick around. Guess not. The end.
I really hope he does, though. I know. I hope we see him in some,
past scene,
backtracking or something like that. There was only really one other thing I had in my notes that I wanted to ask you about because you're better at languages and such than I am. But the comment Elton makes when they find their shelter, he says, why settle for terra firma, which is like dry land, when you could have, he says, when you could have sumus locus.
Sumus locus, right?
Sumus locus. Now, the only thing I could find in reference to that was actually locus sumus. He said it backwards, which is actually it's a couch at like a dinner table for at a Roman dining table, and it's a place of high honor for the guests.
Right.
Which kind of made sense to me, but now I'm like, maybe that's not what he meant at all.
How did you spell it?
Well, I spelled it the same. I spelled it the same way my captions did.
Oh, SUMMUS?
Correct.
Yeah. All it means is high place. Why go solid?
But when I looked up the definition, it's actually locus sumus, not sumus locus.
Oh, I don't know. I actually saw a definition in my search that just says, it literally translates to high place.
Like a place of honor.
But it's not, see, that's the thing with Latin. There is phrasings give those words, because Latin is not a very, it's not a big language. It doesn't have a lot of words, so there's a finite amount of words.
Gotcha.
So
it's more about interpreting.
Well, it's kind of like Roman numerals. Like Roman numerals, there are only so many of them, but when you arrange them in a certain way, they mean certain different things, right? So it's kind of like with Latin, when you put certain words together, they mean completely different things. Or not completely, sorry. Similar things, but different concepts. So sumus locus, it literally translates to high place. But like you said, we would have, when you switch it around, it means something else. Locus sumus means the honored spot, the spot of high praise, let's say. So
I tried searching for the combination of the words the other way, and I couldn't get anything back. So that's why I thought he said it wrong.
Yeah, even if you put it in Google Translate, because it does translate.
I did.
Latin. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It just says summit.
Right. Yeah. Right. And it's not good. Right. That didn't get me anywhere. But I found a little article where it talked about a Roman dining table, and there's couches, and the couch to the left is the locus sumus, and it's reserved for high honored guests.
Right. revered,
Yeah.
prestigious.
And I just thought that was kind of cool. Like, they're honored.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but even when you put in Sumus Locus, Google Translate will try to change Sumus Locus to Sumas Locus, and I can't remember what that translated to. It was something funny and wonky.
Google thinks they know everything.
They always, they fucking. Do you remember when? Okay, do you remember the time where it thought it knew what you wanted to search for and it really didn't? And now it's just like we don't remember that time. It actually kind of does know what we're thinking.
Ugh.
Like back in the beginning, it was like, did you mean this completely different thing? I'm like, no, not at all. No, I wanted a Swiffer. I didn't want a robot. Like that, so.
Yes. Yeah.
And Sarandy's like, some ass locust.
Some ass locust.
I said I want some ass locust. Who's locust? Who's Deanna?
Who's Deanna? Oh my gosh.
She's some ass, I'll tell you that much.
Right.
Anyway.
Oh, did you notice the song that was playing when they were up in the treehouse?
No.
It's called Sleepwalk
What did you?
by John Cafferty.
Oh yeah. Like when the fireflies are playing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, fireflies are
or when
playing.
when they're playing Monopoly.
Yeah, and then it cuts to the walker pawing at them with the fireflies. Yeah, I was like trying to recognize what the song was, but yeah, I love that.
Good old Google, always listening in.
Good old Google, that's a ass, locust.
The name of the song is Sleepwalk, and then the very next scene is when Hope goes out to take care of that walker. So she's out walking while everyone sleeps.
Yeah. Sumas Locus means summer place. Summas.
Oh, AS. Okay.
Which tripped me up a bit because it's almost cold, right?
Right.
Anyway, sorry.
The last thing I wrote in my notes was literally the end is the beginning.
The first thing I wrote in my notes was the end is the beginning. Oh my God, we're Hope and Iris.
That's crazy.
Only because of the second watch. Because the second watch I noticed, oh wait, that's the end. That's when she's out. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's staying in there. But we didn't say the one thing that was also pretty cool that we knew was kind of coming, but also great to see in how they presented it. When Iris, from the start of the show, is trying to kill this walker. I love how Felix explains in the past scenes they're cutting to everything she's doing wrong.
Yes, I did too. I wrote down all of her moves too. I'm like, first, Felix says, always go for the head. The first thing she does, whack it in the neck.
Which
then he says,
you miss whatever.
Keep your distance from it. And she starts hacking at the legs.
No, she's hacking at the legs at that third thing, which is sweep the. If you can't puncture the eye. Did he say the eyeball also at one point?
Actually, he says the eye socket's the easiest way to get to the brain.
Yeah.
Actually, she starts hacking. Her fifth move is hacking at the legs. Her first move is to chop at the neck. Right. Then she kicks the knee. Then she jabs the other side.
Right.
Then she shoves it away.
Right.
Then she starts hacking at the legs. Then she finally stabs it in the shoulder and pushes it over the edge.
Right. And so the fifth move you're talking about, he says, if you can't do this, you can't do that, sweep the legs and get it while it's down, sort of. But does she use the rod or does she actually try to kick it down? I think she uses the rod. She tries to scoop it up.
Yeah. I think she's trying to hit it with the stick. Yeah. and reality's always more difficult than practice. Right?
Exactly.
It's not ever going to work out the same way.
Yeah, and again, I say this as funny as it is to watch. Funny and also like, whoa, stop.
Yeah.
As funny as it is, sort of. I love the takeaway from that is that you think she's doing bad? Wait till you get out there. Seriously. Sweep the leg, Johnny. Nope. The leg just goes out from underneath it. It's like a Roadrunner cartoon. You sweep the leg and they kind of just stay in midair and then they grab you.
Right.
Just, damn. I didn't know these walkers had those powers. Like that sort of thing. Like it would be just your luck too. Like you sweep the leg and it just grabs onto you anyway. It's like there's no legs to speak of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Hope's situation, she was trying to do the right thing. And I thought, yeah, this is going to work. All right. No, step off to the side and use, kind of guide it into the thing. But it reached out and grabbed her. So, she didn't account for that. Right.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. And this is my point. It's like, be afraid. Fear the They should have called this Fear the Walking Dead.
No kidding. Yeah, these
Right?
kids should be in fear of the Walking Dead. Absolutely.
No, they should have called this show Fear the Walking Dead. I think that makes way more sense.
They really should change the titles, and Fear should be World Beyond.
Yes.
It really should.
That's the clip. Because, I mean, what is Fear all about but trying to, like, make civilization out of nothing? And then, like, what is the World Beyond about but everything but fear, including
being afraid,
the fear, confronting your fears, everything about fear. The only thing we have to fear. I mean, look, I could mention the light years ahead in manufacturing that CRM has, the fuel, the chicory, which, all right.
It's damn good chicory, though.
Yeah. Oh, now that actually brings me to my second comment. What are your feelings about her accent now, sort of? Is it finding its place? Is it working its way out?
I think it's getting better, yeah. I do.
I don't know about it getting better, but I think it's like when you go to a different country. you
just getting used to it.
Just to the Irish or English accent or Australian.
Well, I noticed a little less body language with the accent. So I think for me personally that helps.
I noticed more. I can get down.
Well, I mean, besides, when she has to move, but I mean, the first episode just seemed like there was a lot of unnecessary movement. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I felt like they were given more almost free reign to fuck around a little bit in the first episode.
Maybe. I mean, it should be up to the actor to really kind of find the character, shouldn't it? I mean, to a certain extent. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like give them a little breathing room, see where they go. I think a lot of shows do that. Yeah. I mean, we heard that, and I don't remember if I brought it up that last time, but that Judith Darryl thing. I know what you're reading. The Judith Darryl thing, where Judith kind of puts her handprint on the window. I don't know if I remember that, but that was improvised. So that's isn't that precious? And then Darryl.
I think I did hear Norman Reedus say that.
Yeah. But I'm not sure if I remember mentioning it on the show.
No, yeah.
I put it in my notes specifically. It was so much to talk about.
But see that is what you get from someone who knows their character.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. This is what I would do.
But you know who thought of that? I think it was Kaylee.
Kaylee, probably.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
Probably. She's years beyond for herself. She should be 40.
But Cassidy's
how talented she is.
But Cassidy has had those moments as well, where all of a sudden she catches, let's say, Jeffrey D. Morgan by surprise, or even Norman Reedus by surprise with a touching moment, and how in it she is, and it's oh man, she's overacting me. She's acting me under the table. I bet. No, I'm kidding. No, but they fall into it and they're like, oh, I'm crying.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. I feel like that should happen.
Yeah. Yeah, right. But actors' egos do get in the way. Can we cut? She's stepping on my lines. This sort of thing. This little shit. Can you underact a little bit?
Can an actor yell cut?
I think it's safe to say that Norman Reedus can yell cut. But he doesn't. Yeah. He's not the kind of guy that would, right?
Who's gonna tell him no?
No, nobody.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Or JDM.
I mean, who needs Game of Thrones, right? These guys, because these guys could be running the show. You know what I mean?
What's Game of Thrones?
You're right. It's the Walking Dead actors. Anyway, yeah. The one bat to rule them all. Oh, that's Lord of the Rings.
Now that one I know.
Exactly. Ned Stark. Whatever. Shut up. Shut up. Let's go back to the bog. They reference this only once in the episode. Blaze of Gory, right? It's referenced as that the whole time. And this is something that Sharon and I have both found out. Sharon, we were like a hive mind. We kind of think the same way. But the tapes that Althea is protecting in Fear the Walking Dead season 4 is called, they're called the bog, 1 through 8, whatever it is. And so I wonder if there's that crossover to Fear the Walking Dead as well. The bog tapes, where they crossed over, how they cross over. Is this this big moment that Althea had to cross over? Did we lose people, etc.? And will we see something like this in the Fear the Walking Dead? I don't know. I don't think so. And maybe the only way that they can actually explain it is one of two ways. They can kind of do an Althea tapes kind of thing for the Walking Dead World Beyond, where they see, maybe they pick up a tape, or a tape gets played somewhere. Oh, we found this at the bog. you know, this one remaining tape, like an extra tape she lost along the way, and explains her tapes from the bog that reference the Walking Dead World Beyond. And they go, oh, let's see what happened. And maybe in the next episode, Hope puts it in a VCR and you see Thea on the screen, or
That'd
you,
be crazy.
At least you hear her voice behind the camera, and then wouldn't that be kind of cool? But
so I can't picture it perfectly, but the cassette that Althea has, and it says the bog on it, it's capital B, lowercase o, lowercase g, right? It's not written as an acronym.
No, it's
correct?
not. There's no dots denoting an acronym. But you never know. I mean, look.
No, I'm not saying. I mean, it could definitely still be the Blaze of Gory, but I don't know. I feel like if it were that for sure, it would be capital letters, at least capital letters.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the way
with or without the periods.
I mean, remember Abe/Doc? You know, for the Abraham.
True. She also labels them sort of cryptic, so that people don't know exactly. Well, that's true too.
Well, she doesn't have to write a novel on it too.
Good point.
You learned that after a while, so.
Right. Good point.
Yeah.
Might be the shortest show we've ever done.
Well, now you did it. Now we're going for another 2 hours. No, you'll be here too. The sad, hellish irony. But anyway, thank you for joining us for the second episode of The Walking Dead World Beyond. I thought this was an awesome breakdown of an episode. We flew through this swimmingly like a stream of consciousness. Sharon D joined us. She's laughing right now about all the silly shit we just said that may or may not make it into this episode. So if you'd like to join us for our recordings where you get to be a part of the pre-show, post-show, what have you, buy us a coffee. It's for less than a cup of coffee, ko-fi.com/squawkingdead. You can get 30 days of access, or if you subscribe to a coffee a month, the party keeps on rolling. You get to be a part of the recordings as we send them out. You can get the unedited recordings after we're done, and anything in between. You know, little exclusives that we drop along the way. Little things that are in development that, you know, every now and again I throw up on there, like thumbnails in process, you know, little art. But, you know, it's nice to be a member. You know, it's nice to be behind the scenes. But you don't have to be. Just create an account, coffee.com, ko-fi.com. Follow us at ko-fi.com/squawkingdead. And at least you'll get notifications of non-supporter-based posts, which we do often do. Yeah, every time a podcast gets released or a video gets released, etc., you get to be a part of the conversation. And we want you here. But you know, we kind of need a little money. That's the bills are due right now. The hosting costs are coming in, the automation, there's a lot of things. It's all on the page actually too. If you see our goal currently is self-sufficiency. Unfortunately, giveaways are not part of that goal, so we're out of money. But still, at the same time, we can cover our basic costs and I can foot the rest of it or whatever. Or you can help us do more. We'll see. We haven't reached our goal yet, but the year is coming up. It's coming up very fast. So we're at 65% now. Help us cross the finish line. Also, rate this podcast at ratethispodcast.com/squawkingdead. 5 stars and an eggplant tells you how much you love us. But if you'd like to write more, I think we'd appreciate it very much. In any case, I've been David Cameo, and this has been CosmoMom09, Rachael Burt, and Sharon D, Blazy Gardener in the chat. Sorry, and Sharon D is actually doing a live, well, by the time you're going to watch this, it'll already been done. But you can follow her on her YouTube page. Just look for Blazy Gardener. I think it's all one word, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Look for that. You can see her unboxing video, her Loot Crate unboxing video. And check it out. Subscribe and follow her. Do the same for us. Why not? I mean, if you want to. I mean, I think you should follow her and subscribe to all notifications. But if you could do it for us, that would be great too. You know, hit that notification bell. Set all reminders. Follow us. Like us. Share us if you want to. If you found value in this, please share us. That's the best way to get things out. Good night, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
See you soon. Love you.